Okay, guys, let's solve one more question. Okay, so here we are having two questions of mathematics. One is a rectangle and another one is a square, right? If you will see here, we are having the three operations that are related to the rectangle, and we are having the three operations that are related to this square, right? Okay, so what we will do here is we will create a one separate class for the rectangle. So whatever the operations that you want to perform related to a rectangle, we will create a one class for it, separate class. Whatever the operations we have to perform related to the square, we will perform them in a square itself. Okay, one class will create for the square, right? Okay, like you are having a list and a tuple. Whatever the operations that you can perform on a tuple, you are having a separate class for that. Whatever the operation you are performing on a list, you are having a separate class for that as well. Okay, so let's create a one class. I will say class, and here I will say rectangle, right? Class rectangle, and here let's create one function method. Instead I will say area, and let's see if I am saying self comma. So you know here to calculate the area you need a length and a width, right? So I will say length comma width. Okay, these are the two things that I am taking from the user. Okay, so if I had to calculate here, what will say print length into width, right? And then I will create one more function, or instead I will say method area, or sorry, perimeter. I will say pair, and here I will use the self. Now you know why we use the self. Then again here we need a length and a width, right? And I will say print, and it is 2 into length into width, right? Okay. Then we have to perform this, and here we have to create diagonal line segment that is joining the opposite corners that we have to find. For that as well, we need a length and a width ourselves, and here I have length comma width. Okay, and let me calculate. The formula is length square plus width square. So I will say die equal to you will say length. Okay, let me use the right length square plus width square, and I will say here plus width square, right? And then we have to perform the root of it. So I have to start 0.5. Okay, or you can use the 1 divided by 2 as well. That's up to you. Okay, then I will print here die. Okay, this we have created a class of rectangles where we have defined all the functions that are related to the rectangle here, right? Now, if I have a one rectangle, I'm saying X is a rectangle, which is the object of a class rectangle. RAC, right? That X is the object of this class rectangle, right? If I run it, will you get any kind of output? No, right? Program is actually fine. There is no errors here, right? Now, if I have to find X dot area at the time, what I have to do, I have to pass the two arguments, correct? Because we have to find the length and a breadth to find the area of a this rectangle, right? At the time, it will give you an output, and the output 230, right? Now, if you have to find the perimeter, again you will say x dot per. I'm saying 10 comma 23. You will get the output. Now, if you have to say the diagonal, I will say x dot die. Again, it needs the two arguments parameters. You have to pass the two arguments here. I am passing it, and you are getting the output. So are you seeing something weird here? Again and again, we are passing the 10 23 20 23 10 23. Suppose I am having a one rectangle. And for that rectangle, I will have to calculate. My task is to find the area, perimeter, and diagonal of it, right? So what I will do, I am doing here again passing the same value, again passing the same value, again passing the same values, right? So this is a little bit weird. So for that, how to resolve this thing? How can we resolve this thing? We can resolve it using a constructor. We can resolve it using a constructor. We will take the input only once. We will take the input only once. Then we will tell the user whatever you just tell me whatever you want. I will give you that. But pass me the length and width just the one times, right? I will say length, comma, width. Right, just pass me these two things only one time. Now these length and the width are the local variables. Let's make them attached with the class itself. I will say self dot l length, and I will say self dot width. Now if I run it, what will happen? Anyone knows? Yes, you will get an error. Why? Because you have to pass the two required arguments, that is length and the width. This is coming because of the line number 21. It is saying, if you will check the line number 21, when you are creating an object, at the creation of the object itself, your constructor will be automatically called. And your constructor is saying, I need the two parameters. You are not giving me any kind of parameters. Now I will pass 10, comma 30 here. Right? At the first hand we will get the 10 and 30. Okay, now it's working fine, right? So if I am passing here, why to need the here and here? Let me remove from here. Let me remove from here as well. Let me remove from here as well, right? And that means if you are removing the argument, you have to remove the parameters as well. What is the length called as width now, right? So where is length stored? In L. That means you have to see here now self dot L. Self dot L. Had to see dot width. W. You can't say width. Why? Width is a local variable. Only the L and W is being attached to this thing, right? That's why we are saying self dot L and the self dot, right? And here, let me copy the same thing and paste it here. Okay, so here we need self dot L, and here we need just self dot W. Okay, now if I will run it, it will give me now the again same output, right? The thing is here you are just passing the one time. It's like the same thing, right? If you are doing something like this, L is equal to, and you are saying 34 comma 56 comma 78, right? Then when you are appending it, when you are appending it, you are saying directly L dot append, right? Same thing here we are doing here, L dot append. You are saying, right? L dot append, then brackets, whatever the element you want to append, you are passing there, right? Same thing we are doing here. X equal to rectangle, same thing. We are passing whatever we have the values, pass it just the once. To take the first time argument, you can use the constructor, right? After that, any operation you can perform, those operations will be performed on these constructor values, yani ki attributes, right? Whatever the attributes you will keep here depends upon your problem. So we can directly perform the operation like we are doing here for the listers as well. If I have to do the maximum, I will say sorry, count. I'll say L dot count. Then take the argument. If you are required the argument. Here we don't require any kind of argument, so we are not keeping it. But the first values that are these 34, 56, 78, we are preserving it, right? Like we are preserving here 10 and 30 in this constructor, right? Now if I will create one more class, sorry, one more object here. Let me create one more object here. I'll say print second object. I'm using this print schema so that we can visualize here. This is the first, this is about X and this is about second object. Okay, so let's say I'm saying T is the second object and I'm saying T equal to rectangle, rectangle. Okay, let's say I'm saying 78 comma 89, right? Okay, it will not give any kind of output here. Since why? Because we are not calling any kind of a method here, right? If you want to calculate anything, depends upon your need. Now I want to find the diagonal only, right? And I will say die, brackets are needed. Why? Because this is a method. If it is a method, you have to pass here bracket. Does it need any kind of argument now? No. If it requires any kind of a parameter here, you will pass an argument here, right? So now if I will run it, you will get the diagonal here, right? Okay, one thing I will do here you are getting the huge value, here you are getting the huge value. Now to control it, suppose if I want to print it only up to two decimal places, so how you can do that? I guess everyone knows that. Let me do, I will use the formatting here, and here I will say colon dot to f, and here I will say format and use the brackets, right? So if you need up to two decimal places, you will use here two. If you need up to three decimal places, you will use here three. If you need up to four, it's up to you, right? Now this is the run it. Okay, now you will get only up to two decimal places. If I want up to three decimal places, I can say here three. Now you'll get up to three decimal places, right? Now, for every triangle, these operations are the rectangle, these operations are common, right? So give any sides after, then you can perform any kind of operation here, and that is the benefit of using the class, right? Now I will create a one more class. I will say uh, print creating creating a class of square, right? So we'll create a class for a square, and here let me create a class. I will say class 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 square square, and let me use the column here. Again we use the same. I will say def underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Now you know why we are using this, because we will take the input just the one time. I will say side, and this side I will take at the first whenever anyone is creating the object, then we will preserve the side. Then whatever the calculation he wants to perform, he will just name that calculation and we will give him that thing, because side is preserved here. And here I will say self dot s equal to side, right? I can say self dot side equal to side. It's up to you, right? Okay, now we have to calculate the area. I'll say def area, and here I'll say self, and I'll say print side ka square, and when we have to perform the perimeter def per I will say here, and here again use the self, then I will say here print 4 into side. Okay, then we have to calculate diagonal length. I'll say def die, and self, here we will use something like this. I'll say print what's the root of side here, and I will say side uh the square. Okay, this star 0.5 with the bracket. We need one more bracket here. Okay, not for any kind of error here. Okay, we are creating a second square. Okay, now if I am creating any object that belongs to this class, uh square class, I will say, let's say t is equal to square square, and let me run it. What is it? Later it went through an error, right? Let's say error at line number 43, and one positional argument is missing, that's the side, right? So whenever you are creating a square, this constructor will be executed. That means you have to find place here this, right? Now if I place 25 as an argument, it will not throw an error. Now if you want to perform any operation on this t, I'll say t dot let's say I'll say perimeter, I'm fine. I'll say t dot pair. You have to use the braces. Why? It is a method, right? Now if I will run it, you will get the perimeter. Okay, side is not defined. Why side is not defined? Nice, this error we got it, because this side is a local variable of this constructor, and you can't access this local variable outside the function. We are trying to access it here, right? So what we can access? Whatever is having the relationship with the square. This side, self dot side is having the relationship with this. So I can say here ls self dot, and here also, here also, right? Now if I will run it, hopefully we will not get any kind of error. Okay, now it is performing the 96. Right, now we are having the two classes, so I can perform anything here. Let me say if I'm saying uh, uh, x equal to what is the name of the rectangle? It is angle rectangle, and we know we have to pass the two things, 45 and 67, and I want to perform the perimeter. I will say x dot per. Now if I will run it, it will give you the perimeter of a rectangle, right? And again, if I am saying some m is there, m is equal to square, square is square. Now we know we have to pass any one of the side, and then I will perform the perimeter. I will say m dot pr. Now m belongs to the square, and this x belongs to the rectangle, right? Now if I will run it, now you will get the output something else, and that output is 356, right? Now you hope how to create a constructor, how to create a classes, different classes, how to access those values. And if you want to preserve some value, don't want to repeat it again and again, you can use the constructor and take the argument in that as well. Hope you understood everything. Definitely we'll meet again. Thank you.